My name is Mindy Miner. My husband and I have raised 2 children in the Rockford area, and although it doesn't look like I'll ever be a grandmother, I'm still hopeful. So my greatest concern is global warming. I want my grandchildren and yours to be able to enjoy clean air, fresh water, and all of the gifts of nature that we have all taken for granted for way too long. But I worry when I look at the Rogue River, and it's as high as it was in 2013 during the 100-year flood. And even though I'm not a big fan of winter, I worry when spring comes earlier every year. And I worry when I read that the scientific community says we need to hold global warming to 2 degrees Celsius to avoid potential catastrophic events. But we are already locked into warming of close to 1.5 degrees Celsius, even if we stopped emitting all greenhouse gases today. That leaves us just 1/2 of 1 degree before we reach that threshold. I know I'm not alone in my worry. The latest polls show that 70% of Americans think global warming is happening, and 71% trust the climate science data. There must be a lot of worried people out there. So I know you have children too, so my questions to you are, number 1, are you one of those worried people? And number 2, given the urgency of the situation and the fact that we don't have time to wait for normal market regulations, what solutions do you propose?
But it is important to remember that the best way to deal with pollution and deal with our climate is to continue to be economically prosperous. Because the more economic prosperity you have, the greater ability you have to use clean technologies and to invent new technologies that will keep our environment clean. Our environment continues to become cleaner. It was dirtier before. We were doing more to pollute the environment in previous generations. But as we have found new technologies and new ways to protect our environment, those have been utilized. And we have an opportunity as a people to decide what kind of products we're going to use, what companies we're going to work with. We have the opportunity to do that to try to compel them to make changes. When you look at automobiles, they're much cleaner today, for example, than they used to be. And that's not primarily because of regulation. It's primarily because of competition. It's because people demand those kinds of changes. And do we have enough data when you have an Earth that is billions of years old, and we have climate data that doesn't go back nearly that far? So we have to look at the actual science here, and that is one of the concerns I have, to make sure we're dealing with actual science, not just science based on a limited data set that might actually create a worse environment by reducing our economic advantages.